Hey, what's going on, everybody? How you doing out there on a Monday, October 11th? Man, this year's just kind of seemed to, especially when football season comes, it seems like the time just hurries up and passes on real quickly. But I tell you what, I like it when the time passes by after a win as opposed to a loss where we have to talk about how we lost the game for the last week. Well, folks, this week we don't have that to worry about because the Atlanta Falcons yesterday found a way to close out that game as they are supposed to and win against the lowly New York Jets. Now they are 1-4. Atlanta finishing the game on a drive that took them into the end zone of Mike Davis. I will get to him in a second because actually he may have had to play the game yesterday when I started thinking about it. How's everybody doing on Atlanta Bird Gang? Good to talk to y'all. Hadn't talked to y'all in a couple of days. We'll try to get back into some major content going on. We've been kind of slack lately, so hopefully we could get things back on track and get our concentration back into the group with some live content and some talk between everybody. But listen, that's a really good win. And if you see my head keep turning over here because I'm an Atlanta fan before anything else. And of course, our Atlanta Braves are currently defeating the Milwaukee Brewers 3-0 in the bottom of the eighth. Ozzy Albies just hit a double with no out, so opportunity to put some insurance run on the board. You know, the one thing, trust me, I'm getting ready to go back to the Falcons. Anytime I see Luke Jackson on the mound, man, I'm sorry. I just get nervous. Every time I see Luke, is almost like, dude, please just get through the inning, bro. Just get through. And Dansby Swanson saved him on an outstanding defensive play he just made. So Atlanta 3 outs away from going up 2-0 on the Milwaukee Brewers. Hopefully they can make that happen and ease into the next part of what's going on. What's up, Glenn? How you doing, sir? Good to see you on a Monday. Everybody else, I'm trying to connect up everything so I can see your names and everything like that. I think that's Ron. I see you on YouTube, Ron. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us today. So let's talk first about the win. The win is a very good win, folks. And now we're getting into the part of the season where, 2 weeks ago, the big controversy, of course, with the local radio station calling out the Atlanta Falcons on what they say ugly win. Now we're at a point where, you know what? We are 4 to 5 games in, folks. I could care less how it looks right now, as long as at the end it ends up in a W. There is no doubt about it. The criticisms are going to come. We're going to make critiques. Everybody's going to give their own opinion about what should happen and who should do what. I could care less. Right now, it's all about the W. And yesterday, the Atlanta Falcons had to go a few thousand miles over the Atlantic to find that second victory. And I will take it any way they can. What's going on, Jonathan? How you doing? Say you're going live during the Braves game. Look, man. Jonathan, I realize that, but my time constraints may not have me. I might not be able to do anything a little bit later. So, it is what it is. But I don't know. I understand. And if you were to take a quick peek into my little man cave over here, you would see that the Braves are right next to me with one out. I think that was Austin Riley just struck out. So, hey, we do what we do, but we'll be here after the game. So it is what it is for right now. Good to holler at you, Jonathan. Philip says, rise up. Matt didn't have a choice but to trust the other players. Now he can open both eyes instead of one. Well, you know what? Yesterday might have been a good thing for both teams. You really think about it, and I know technically it's a home game for Atlanta, but obviously that was a neutral field. And when you can go overseas and get away, listen, the Benz this year has not been a great home field advantage for the Falcons. Matter of fact, if anything, is almost like going on the road. The way the other teams' fans have come and invaded Atlanta recently. So I'm almost thinking that might be a good thing for them to be able to get off the just it's kind of get away from things and concentrate on what you need to. So you didn't have Calvin Ridley, you didn't have Russell Gage. You basically had to find folks who were willing to step up and play this game. And the Atlanta Falcons found those folks. I'm only making the comparison as far as the two guys who were playing. I remember a few years ago when New England had Gronkowski and the departed Aaron Hernandez. And people used to always say, well, New England doesn't have a wide receiver. Well, you really don't need a wide receiver. When you had two of the best tight ends on the game lining up in your game. Now, Kyle Pitts is going to take a while for him to get where he needs to be. But yesterday being that first game that he actually got an opportunity to get the ball and show what he can do, made some critical third downs. The first touchdown of his career, where they had him up against a defensive lineman, which is crazy if you're the Jets. I don't even know if he was just a regular tight end. I don't even know why the Jets are interesting. I know that Robert Saleh, he's going to have a lot of work to do with that team. But at the end of the day, those two tight ends can make up for anything lacking with your receivers. When I look at the stats this week, I'm looking at where the receptions went. Kyle Pitts, okay, Matt had 33 completions. Kyle Pitts had 9. Cordero Patterson had 7. Hayden Hurst had 4. Lee Smith had 4. So between that, if my math is correct, that's 16, 20, 23, and then 2 to Mike Davis. So 25 out of the 33 completions were to running backs and tight ends. And I know Patterson kind of switches back and forth, but right now he's our running back. So 26 of the 33 passes were caught by someone other than your wide receiver. You throw the ball to whoever makes the plays. And right now on that field, and we'll get on Mr. Hayden Hurst fumbles, but on that field, Patterson is your best player right now. And Pitts and Hurst are probably your two best receivers on the field at this moment. I know people are going to run and say, oh, man, Hurst got to hold on to the ball. He absolutely does. But he's still probably your best option right now on the field. As I'm looking at the Braves, little they got 2 outs. That's 2 outs. I don't know who that was hit the ball. It must have been Darno the way he was running real slow. No, that was Duvall. Duvall's kind of slow. But anyway, 2 outs in the bottom of the 8th. Braves still up 3-0, just in case those who want to know. But yeah, I like having Pitts and Hurst on the field. And you can say all you want to about Calvin Ridley and the potential of being a number 1 receiver, but wasn't nothing wrong with what they did yesterday. I like it. What's going on, Joe? How you doing, brother? Just recapping this game yesterday, this win. Glad for us to have the win yesterday. Glenn says, been a long time since we had a great weekend for Georgia Sports Pro or college to have this. I'm gonna tell you, when I saw the stat up, Georgia Tech, Atlanta Falcons, Atlanta Braves. The Hawks won an exhibition game. just a great, to your point, Glenn, great week for the local teams. That's what you want to have. We've been begging for this winning mentality for a long time. And just, I mean, between all the teams, quite honestly, all due respect to the other teams, Georgia has at least been consistent enough to be in the conversation for the last few years. They just haven't been able to go over the top and get the big boy. But at least they've been consistent enough to be in the conversation in November. So I give Georgia a little bit of vibe, but Georgia Tech and everybody else, that's really great. Ken, what's going on, sir? Say great team win. We had a great weekend for Georgia sports. I'm sorry. Great team win. Now we can get healthy and hopefully build on the computer lag. Then I was reading the other comment, Ken. Sorry about that. Say great team win. Now we can get healthy and hopefully build on this. And that's my question for you all today. And I don't want to go to putting the cart before the horse and everything like that. But I'm going to show you something once I share my screen over here with you all. And we're going to talk about the game as well. Couple of questions. Who was your guy yesterday? Who do you feel like, and you have plenty to choose from. Who was the person that you thought was the best player on the field yesterday? Who was your best player? I want to know what y'all think about that. Philip chimes in and says our O-line didn't give up any sacks. Great job. Let me tell you something. As much as people have dogged out this offensive line for the last couple of weeks, as they should have, they showed up yesterday. And before anybody is about to say, yeah, that was the Jets' defensive line is not shabby. I know it was a lot of y'all when they were talking about trading Sheldon Rankins earlier this year. I know I saw a couple of posts talking about let's go get him. So let's not pretend like all of a sudden the Jets didn't have a nice little defensive line going on. Those guys sat Ryan Tannehill 7 times last week. Matt had a clean pocket. Matt had an opportunity, even though Matt kind of let the ball go a little bit. It looks like Darno is going to pop the ball up, and we're going to go into the bottom of the ninth with the shaky but never stirred Will Smith, and hopefully he can hold on to it with the Braves. 3-0, top of the ninth. But as far as just the criticism that this offensive line has gotten, and then coming into this week on a Jets team that got their first win, momentum, they sacked Tannehill 7 times. So, they're looking to feast. They're looking to the Atlanta Falcons offensive line. We're about to tee off on this. Man, and that offensive line showed up, man. And when the O-line shows up, how about Matty Ice? How about the Iceman coming through? 33, 26 is the number of catches by tight ends and running backs. 33 of 45, 340 yards, 2 touchdowns. The rating thing, 109.7, yeah, whatever. But he won the game. Clean game again from Matt. Last 2 games, cleaner pocket. 1 sack against the vaulted Washington football team, defensive team. And so 6 touchdowns and no interceptions last 2 weeks. That's when you have a chance to win, folks. That's when you know you have an opportunity to win. Joseph comes in and says, everyone won this weekend. Patterson is his favorite player from this weekend coming in. Glenn says the O-line gets the game ball. It's hard to argue that. I mean, you're talking about starting from a couple of weeks ago where we couldn't stop anything. Boy, I'd love to play Philly now. I'd love to go back and play them again. I know you don't get those opportunities, but, man, I would love to go back and get some of them. The way the offensive line is playing now. What's going on, Dave? How you doing, man? Dave is joining us Uncle Steve's Lounge. I appreciate y'all, man. The YouTube thing has been doing nice. Look, I'm not into the thousands nothing, but past 200 not too long ago. Appreciate y'all checking things out, man. Keep it rolling, man. The more you guys go on, the more content we'll have on there. Brother Dexter, how you doing? Say Matt Ryan was the best player. There's no argument about that. Again, I just read the stats on there. Matt Ryan, with time, can hit these guys and do what they have to do. Matt Ryan was really good. Glenn says, "Oh Lord, not Will Smith." Yeah, man, we'll see what he does. I'll keep peeking over here after we finish talking. Anthony, what's going on, my brother? Matt looked good yesterday, spreading the ball around, and wide receiver Tajay Sharp was a pleasant surprise. But he was doing that a little bit, Anthony, in preseason. So I know he had a rough game. I think it was Philadelphia, where he had a little bit of a rough game. I think he dropped 2 targets there. But again, that was the game that Matt was running for his life. But great opportunity for him. Listen, we'll deal with the Calvin stuff. Kind of good for the Falcons that we have this bye. Because, look, had we lost the game, come back overseas, and now have a week and a half to talk about, we need Calvin. You don't hear. Listen, the last name you heard last night, and really even today until I bring it up, the last name you're hearing is Calvin Ridley. You know what they're talking about in the media? They're talking about Kyle Pitts. They're talking about the resurgent Matt Ryan. They're talking about Hayden Hurst fumbling the ball, which they are. But, I mean, you want the narrative to be about your quarterback. And Tajay Sharp took advantage of that yesterday. 2 men out, Gage and Ridley. Time for me to step up. Zacchaeus, give him credit. I think he had 4 catches, if I'm not mistaken. 2 catches. No, he did have to fill in as the kickoff person because Williams was out. But I thought he had a really good game overall. David say, how you doing? Say, got to give the rookie Kyle Pitts some love. 9 receptions, 119 yards, and a touchdown. Should have been a highlight. One-handed catch. Great performance overall by him. And here's the problem. And when I say problem, let me change that. Here's where the expectation thing exceeds progress. It exceeds evolution. It exceeds growth. When you start talking about 1 out, Riley just snagged out here. So 2 outs away from 2-1 for the Braves. Kyle Pitts was going to be fine. I know we're in that society where we get on the keyboard and just because we type it, some people lose their mind. Somebody will type this as Kyle Pitts is a bust. Then you get about 300 comments. 2 people will say facts, and then they'll get to arguing. And realistically, folks, Kyle Pitts is gonna be fine. Is he gonna be Julio this year? Probably not. Is he gonna be nice? You saw flashes yesterday. They couldn't check him. And give Arthur Smith credit. He put him in many different positions yesterday. So it wasn't like he was just in the 2 tight end set. He was spread out. One time, I think I saw him go in the backfield once and then go right back out into the line. Just to move those folks around and give folks things to think about. That he's not going to be in the same place. And he showed up yesterday. If I'm not mistaken, out of those 9, I think Matt only missed him on 1 play, if I'm not mistaken. He did. What's up, brother Armani? How you doing, man? Good to see you, brother. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us in here on a Monday. My brother Marcus, how are you, sir? Said next couple of games should be wins. Let's go. I wasn't able to watch the game. Kids baseball tournament. Did the D-line apply any pressure? The D-line did okay. Technically, they only got 2 sacks, but I think they did enough to get Wilson off his spot. The one thing I was worried about was our issue with athletic quarterbacks from Heineke to Jalen Hurts. that concerned me a little bit, even a little bit of Daniel Jones against the Giants, that we were going against these athletic guys who were able to extend the play. But the Falcons did an actual pretty good job against him. Overall, Zach Wilson, 19 completions, 32 attempts, 192 yards. Of course, he had the interception in that game. I was looking at something else. What did I want to see? Internet is acting a fool, y'all. I apologize. And more importantly, Zach Wilson rushing one carry, 3 yards. So we tried to keep him in the pocket as much as possible. His rating was 63, which is horrible for a quarterback. So you're able to, Will Smith, 2 outs, y'all. 1 out away from going up 2-1 and being able to close out the series tomorrow. I believe it's tomorrow. For them, I think it's tomorrow at 5:07, if I'm not mistaken. But 1 more out. So, yeah, it's now I'm concentrating on the game. I apologize. I lost my train of thought on that. But let's not go too crazy, Marcus. Should be wins. This is not a should be win team. Right now in the NFL, there are only maybe about 3 should be win teams, and those teams have all lost. Arizona, it's a pop up. 3 people running. Looks like they were about to hit. Duval comes in, gets the ball. The Braves are up 2-1 in the NLDS. Tomorrow's game at 4, even though that might be their coverage at 4. 3-0. Atlanta Braves pitching, folks. I know I segued from the Falcons. 3-0, 3-0, and 2-1. And Charlie Morton actually deserved a better fate than he got. Woo! And I don't know if that's Charlie that's going to come up there tomorrow. It probably is. But boy, Atlanta Braves, go, 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 go. Do what we got to do. Okay, let me get back into this football. I'm sorry, y'all. Brother Clayton said, what's going on? Do you think Ridley feel like Julio? It feels like the same treatment. Here's the problem. Here's the problem that I have, Clayton. And I know it's a big boy sport, and I realize that egos are bruised very easily. Calvin Ridley is a really good player, folks. He's a really good player. The coach was telling the truth. It's not like he called him out and said, hey, Calvin Ridley is garbage. He left some plays out there on the field against Washington. If Calvin makes a couple of those plays against Washington, we're talking about a 3-2 team going into the break. And not the defense blowing zone coverages. Matt has been pretty accurate the last couple of days. And a couple of those plays, Calvin, Zacchaeus, they're dropping passes. And when you say same treatment as Julio, I mean, the difference with Julio was, I guess Julio seems like his grievances might have been into last year. And it sounds like his heart wasn't into it after the Dan Quinn firing. So that could be a whole nother different situation. I don't look at this as this. I look at this as Calvin grow up. I look at this as Calvin, you want to get paid. You want to be paid as an elite. You gotta be here. Now, I haven't heard anything about the personal issues, so I don't want to jump too far and act like the personal issue is with the coach. I know I've heard the rumors like y'all did. He got into it with the coach, blah, blah, blah. I get that. That's going to happen during the season, folks. You talking about men on men, hitting each other. You're after the game. You're bruising. You're beating. Nobody wants to hear criticism. Nobody wants to hear about how they didn't do well. Nobody wants to hear about we lost because of me. So from that aspect, I understand the ego, but you got at that time you had 13 more games to do. So you got to throw that stuff out your head and say, you know what? I'm going to prove coach wrong and have a big game. Again, I'm not going to jump the gun like a lot of other people. You've heard rumors about what's been going on in behind the scenes, but I don't equate this to the Julio situation personally at all. I don't. Orion says, happy for the win yesterday, but we can win 3 in a row. We can. I just want to see. Listen, I want to see them in the next game. It's no disrespect to anything going on right now. I just really want to see the next game. I'm not worried about 2 games down the line. I'm not worried about 3 games down the line. I'm worried about the next game the Falcons play. Because that's how they need to look at things. Anything other than the Dolphins, I can't. Now, fans can do it. We can do it. So as fans, let's play the game. After the bye, you're at Miami. Carolina comes here. You're at the Saints. And you're at Dallas. And the Patriots come on Thursday. Here. Now, as much as it pains me, the strongest team on that slate is Dallas Cowboys. And barring injury, that's going to be a tough team to beat. Dallas is really playing well. Surprisingly on defense. But again, maybe not. DQ. But if you look at this upcoming schedule, the Dolphins, especially Jacoby Brissett back there. I don't even know if Tua would have made a difference. The Panthers kind of come back to earth a little bit without McCaffrey, even though they're saying he should be back pretty soon, hopefully for my fantasy team. New Orleans Saints. Yeah, Jameis is up and down. I'm not completely sold on him yet. So, kind of like, I'm not willing to go into the 3 in a row. Let's just get past Miami first. Let's get to 500. David says Calvin dropped 4 balls while I watched my account. My opinion, he cost him at least 80 yards passing. More importantly, David, he cost us the game. Yeah, you're talking about Matt's 80 yards. He cost us the game. That was horrible. And when I start thinking about, look, now we're into a part of the schedule where, let's take a look at it. Let's take a look. Just to see. Just to show y'all I'm not losing my mind. So let's bring it in a little bit. I know some of y'all don't like doing this, but hey, I'm going to do it anyway. Zoom that in just a little bit. So the playoff picture is as follows. After week 5, I don't make it up, y'all. I'm just trying to show y'all your motivation, what you can go for. Arizona Cardinals undefeated. They won't stay undefeated. They won't be undefeated. And I'm not worried about Arizona. They're not in the West. I mean, they're not in the South. Cowboys, 4-1. Cowboys are looking good. Cowboys are really looking good. I hate to say that. They are field goal away from being undefeated. Cowboys look good. Buccaneers, I think the Buccaneers are one of those teams, as long as they're healthy when it's over with, I think they'll be fine. I'm not sure if they're going to be like 12-5 or 13-4. Maybe so. I mean, Tom Brady will have a game like he had last game and light up the world, and then then, we'll see. Packers also look good too. They had that horrific game against New Orleans, and their offense is hitting on all cylinders. Obviously, giving up all those points to Cincinnati makes you wonder, but Cincinnati, trying to tell you, man, if you look right across the screen over there, Cincinnati is in playoff position right now. And then you got the Rams at number 5. The Rams will be there, barring injury to Stafford. Rams is one of those teams that you still don't want to overlook. The Bears, they're gettable. Now, these are the teams that you start worrying about now. The Rams, between the Rams and the Cardinals right now, one of those teams are going to get in. One of those teams will. Now we start looking at teams that we're battling for the wild card. So, again, y'all, I'm not trying to go too far, but I'm trying to show you how this is the first time we've been able to have this conversation in October since 2017. But just to show you how important that Washington loss was. The Bears are 3-2. Are the Bears that great? No. Carolina's 3-2. After a great start, Carolina has come back down. The Saints, 3-2. Does the Saints look great? Saints don't look like the Saints without Drew Brees. And not saying Drew Brees was lighting it up, but I still think the Drew Brees presence or shadow still made a difference on this team. I'm not ready to have them, whatever. Why that Washington game meant so much. Washington right now is number 9. 2-3, but one of those 2 is against you. So whatever you do, you have to be better than them. Vikings, Eagles, that's another team. Got to be better than Eagles. Seahawks, 49ers. Problem with the West is going to cancel each other out. And now without Russell for a few weeks, yeah. I'm not ready to call Geno Smith the savior yet, like some folks I heard on TV. And look at our lowly Falcons. And I'm saying that sarcastically, so before y'all say I'm talking about them. They're 2-3. One game with a lot of football to play. A lot of injuries, a lot of goofy things happening. But at least we're in the conversation at the bye week. So again, that's not for anybody, to lose their mind and start saying, you're talking playoffs. We got a long way to go. I'm just trying to put the facts out there. The facts are we're one game out of a wild card position. Sans tiebreakers. That's a better position than 1-4. That's a better position than the Texans are in right now, or the Jets, or the Giants. So take that win and just scratch your head. There's no need to get too high. But then also say, we might not be that far away, y'all. We might not. Okay, Clayton says, I hope Smith didn't show all his eggs. This is a weak team. The Jets, it was expected to win. Now we can win against a better team. Just maybe. I believe we're moving in the right direction. But here's the thing. I know it. Look, just like we did when we beat the Giants. We always say we're supposed to beat them. We don't have one of those teams that we're supposed to beat. Matter of fact, if you saw a lot of pundits picked the Jets for that game. We're not in a position where we're supposed to win. It's a stupid gnat flying around here on my screen, y'all. I'm sorry. That's a big one too. Sorry about that. But we're not at a point where we are automatic against any team, y'all. That narrative, we probably need to slow down. Not at all. David said the same thing. Yeah, won't say that. Most of the pundits had us losing this game. I think so too. I think it was. Yeah. Clayton says, as a fan, it was expected. I don't know. We expected to beat Philadelphia too. We were expected to beat. I mean, look, when Washington came in here, it wasn't like everybody was on Washington. Matter of fact, I saw more people on the Falcons for that game. In other words, Clayton, none of us, we're not in a position to, even as a fan, like I said again, as a fan, you rooting for the team, absolutely. But we're not in any position to call wins. Not in my opinion. Clayton says the organization sold this, and as a fan, I expect it. That's fair. That's fair. That's a fair statement. But then if we really break it down, come on, man. Coming into the week, everybody was looking at Zach Wilson and what he did against Tennessee. There were a lot of folks talking about, the young whippersnapper from BYU is going to come and light up that Falcons defense. And really, aside of that last drive, it really looked good. Amani said, let's just aim to go 1-0 every week at this point. Just one game at a time. And I know people don't want to hear that, but he's right. Yeah, we're not a forecast game. Look, man, look at Kansas City. And granted, Kansas City has a much tougher schedule. Let's not pretend Kansas City isn't above. That 2-3, that's a bad. Right now, that Chargers loss is now looking like, okay, Chargers legit. That Buffalo was legit before that game. So we're not talking about teams that are straight garbage. Rusty says, Steve, 2 words, my brother. I've been begging for it for years. Man coverage. I loved it. Want to see more of it moving forward. Here's the problem, though, Rusty. At the very end of the game, which we're going to have to talk about that, about why at the end of the game that changes. Because they still let them come down the field. Before that last drive, Atlanta had allowed less than 200 yards the whole game. But they gave them too much life. And that we should have choked the life out of them a couple of times. Of course, the first time that Hayden Hurst fumbled. And I give Hayden all the credit in the world for wanting to maximize those yards. I really do. He's a big guy. He got the ball. Instead of going out of bounds, he said, you know what? I could sneak 3 or 4 more. Love the mentality. You just got to hold on to the ball. You got to hold, especially in that situation. You go up 24-0, we're talking about a whole different feel for that game. Of course, with the win, we're not going to hit on it as much, but you got to hold on to that ball, brother. Got to. Tim, my friend, how you doing, sir? Say, hey, Steve, how's it going today, buddy? I just want to add that I really hope we can keep Patterson after this season. He fits in Arthur's scheme extremely well. Well, as much as I love what he's been able to do, I think it will probably take either a playoff run or something like that. I think Cordero Patterson was playing on a show me contract for the Falcons. I'm not sure if now, if we decide to go away from Mike Davis, maybe. I think as well as Patterson is doing, I don't see the Falcons coming at the end of the year saying, we're going to offer you 2 years, $10 million plus. Because listen, Patterson is a vet. And if I'm not mistaken, I think this contract was $3 million. So it's going to cost them to get back up there. But you know who's watching this game? Other NFL teams. And they're saying to themselves, ooh, man, Patterson still got it. So it's going to be hard to re-sign Patterson because if he keeps going on this trajectory, his value is going to be probably much more than the Falcons are going to be able to do. I think the Falcons are going to end up drafting at the running back position, something they should have done in this draft, but I understand they were trying to fortify some things on the line. But at the end of the day, I think that's going to be where they go. I honestly do not see. I can't see it. I would like it, but I just don't see it. Tim also says, what's up with the back-to-back kickoff returns for the past few weeks? We need some speed on special teams. I don't know what's going on special teams. I know our former guy was getting ready to take one to the house team. Special teams should be under look, you should be looking to see what happened. You could argue, we talked about a lot of things last week against Washington. That was one of the things that touchdown changed the momentum real quick last week in last week's game. So seeing that was not good. Yeah, special teams definitely need to spend some time in the film room trying to see what they're going to do about that. That was really crazy. Brother RJ, how you doing, sir? Say all we're missing is a pass rush, and the two guys, they got it. The one guy whose name I can't pronounce, and I apologize, and I don't want to butcher it on here, from Notre Dame. And then Mariner got another sack yesterday. And that sack was kind of be honest with you, Zach kind of ran into that sack, or you running around, and Mariner missed the sack the first time, got up, and Zach kind of ran into his arm. So a sack is a sack, but yeah, we got to do something about that pass rush. That pass rush has got to get better. Brother Amani says, Cordell Patterson is more valuable than Mike Davis. Of course he is. But we're not going to pay him like that next year. Look at the Eric Harris's, even the Mike Davis contract. I keep telling folks, as much as people want this to be either Derrick Henry or Zeke Elliott or uninjured Saquon Barkley, dude, you don't pay 2 years, 5.5 for a difference maker. That's a journeyman. That's somebody to fill in the hole until you're able to get what you need. So, yeah, absolutely he's more valuable. Dave says, I think Arthur Smith will be okay. He's a rookie head coach, just like any key position in football. A rookie will be up and down. He's no different. Listen, I like the different things he does to disguise what the Falcons are going to do. Our running game, yeah, on paper, it probably didn't look awesome, but it was enough to balance out. 29 carries, 108 yards, 3.7 per pop. And, of course, the Mike Davis touchdown. Cordero, 14 carries, 54 yards. Mike Davis, much better than last week. He had 13 carries last week for 14. This week, 13 carries for 53, 4.1 yards. I'm pretty sure he realized he didn't have the greatest game in the world. Give them credit to at least have some type of balance going on yesterday to allow some different things so Matt could have the game that he did. Look, and let me stop right now before I say anything else. Matt Ryan had a great game yesterday. For all the people that say he's done, it was a reality check to say, hey, I still got some left in the tank. Do I still want a 2021 type athletic quarterback? Absolutely. Yesterday, all of this weekend, Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, Justin Fields, and Matt Jones, all 5 played this week. A lot of folks were saying only 2 or 3 of them would see the field. Now, I know injuries happen. All 5 played. And I know it's been one of those situations where it was like, well, Justin Fields doesn't look. Matt Jones doesn't look. Trevor Lawrence doesn't look. Trey Lance doesn't look like they're supposed to be winners in their first year, folks. It rarely happens. As I've said on here hundreds of times, honestly, the last real time it happened was Matt Ryan. That was starting from day one, not the jumping in once half the season has started. Matt is one of the last in the last 13, 14 years to jump, get in the driver's seat with the keys, and be successful. It's rare that it happens, but you know what they're getting? They're getting great game experience right now. You know who else was getting that experience last year? Justin Herbert. You know who else getting that? Joe Burrow. All these guys who played last year and struggled, and everybody was like, "Oh Lord, we're not going." And now all of a sudden, they're doing things. You got to give the rookie quarterbacks. You got to give them time. If you're a franchise that's one piece away, you don't draft a quarterback. We're not one piece away, which is why I bang that drum. Not because Matt is an awful person, not because Matt is an awful quarterback, because it's just time. This would have been a great time to change the narrative. But all that being said, Matt Ryan played a great game yesterday and played a great game last week. We should be a 2-0 team in the last 2 weeks. So give all credit to Matt Ryan. Really, what a great game, and pretty much took advantage of a really good game from the offensive line. Clean game. Armani says, draft a running back, get rid of Davis, and keep Cordell. Again, it's going to cost you. Armani trying to help me out. Ogundiji. Ogundiji? Is that right? Is that close? Thank you, brother. Yeah, you know we were making initials for him. You know, OG, go OG. He'll get a nickname because you know these days sometimes folks be sensitive when you mispronounce their names. So yeah. Oh man, Rusty says that defense at the end of the soft zone prevent crap these teams like to run. I never, ever understood that mentality. You're in position to play that defense because the defense you've been playing all game. Read that again. I would love to be able to ask Dean Pease about 5 questions I have in the post-game presser. Rusty, I echo your thoughts. You go with what got you there. And I realized that probably, Rusty, fatigue probably sets in. I would love to hear, I don't know if Coach is online or not. When you get a chance, Coach, if you seeing this afterwards, I would love to see what you thought about this. Talking about Coach Thompson, because it baffles me that something that's working, that you go against it. This week, I will tell you the difference. When the Jets came down the field and scored that touchdown and the 2 points and came within a couple of points, I love the aggressiveness of the offense. They came right out, play action pass, bam, Kyle Pitts. That's what we should have done against Washington. And I think he may have learned something after that. I think he might have. Donald Gray, what's going on, Don? Says Matt played out of his mind. And Matt will probably tell you, Donald, he play out of his mind if he got time. And he had time yesterday. Matt even ran around a little bit yesterday. Matt playing around. And that's not a slouch defensive group, y'all. That's not a sluggish defensive line. It's not. Everybody talking about C.J. Mosley. Everybody talking about Sheldon Rankins, Quentin Williams. Man, big boy out of bounds. We should be getting him. Everybody, stop pretending like we weren't. Man, we should have had Quentin Williams here. Man, Sheldon Rankins, he can come here. Let's get him. That was the same defense that sat Tannehill 7 times. Now nobody thinks about it. Nobody says anything. We start. Andrew Luck. Yeah, Andrew Luck from the beginning. Yeah, that's another one. Good answer, David. Andrew Luck was good from the jump. Anthony says, man, all them young stud quarterbacks are going to be good with time. I'm trying to listen. And Anthony, I don't know if you saw that game against Seattle and not Seattle, Arizona and San Francisco. I'm telling you what, man. And I liked him so much, and I wanted him to be an Atlanta Falcon. I know everybody's on the Justin Fields thing, and for business, that would have been great with the homeboy coming here and coming back home. But man, that Trey Lance, man, I saw a couple of plays yesterday. Again, he's a rookie. It's gonna take him some time. But boy, I saw him on the run a couple of times and sling that ball down there. He looked very similar to Josh Allen when Josh Allen came out. Josh Allen was Brett Favre running. He would just get the ball, start slinging it down and doing what he was doing. But Trey Lance is going to be fine. And I think Jimmy Garoppolo, one way or the other, this is probably going to be his last year with San Francisco because you just see that talent with Lance, man. I don't think Shanahan is going to be able to resist keeping him on the sidelines too much longer. But yeah, to your point, those quarterbacks would be great. Clayton says it's been a better O-line. True. Rusty says, another thing I mentioned on Tidy's Live yesterday, Richie Grant and Hawkins need to see the field more. We always talk about drafting defensive players, and when they do, they sit behind bums like Harmon and Harris. Harmon and Harris are the future. Grant and Hawkins can be. Let those boys play. The raw talent is there, and you see it. Now, while there is a sentiment for which we're talking about, I know he addressed it a little bit in his presser yesterday, Arthur Smith, where he says, kind of like, yeah, we knew they had talent, fellas, but some of those situations we weren't sure if they were ready for. And you can probably understand what he's talking about. It goes back a little bit what I was talking about if you have a team that's one player away. If you're a one player away team, you might be able to afford to get a pretty good rookie, put him in the slot, and surround him by a lot of veterans. This team is young. And the team and the folks that the young folks are looking up to are basically cast off special team stars and stuff on this particular Atlanta Falcons defense right now, especially when you're talking about the secondary. Our secondary, now that's beat up, our secondary is very inexperienced and really hadn't had a lot of time on the field themselves. So I hear what you're saying about let them get baptized and go out there and just get the game time and whatever. I get it. But then I also say, okay, as long as the plan works out in the end, I'm fine. Richie Grant was not going to make a difference in that Philadelphia game by itself. Neither would he have done in the Tampa Bay game. Now, for the last 3 games on, close games, Giants, Washington, Jets, maybe. And maybe that's what he was waiting for. I know his hand was forced because of injury. But I don't know. I kind of want to give him the benefit of the doubt on that one. Maybe. Maybe I do. Clayton said if we had fixed our punt situation, we would have won better. 2 punts that didn't go nowhere and give them good field position. Boy, our punter situation has gone into the trash, right? With the one guy getting hurt. And it's not like he was great when he got hurt. Now, unless that hamstring was bothering him early in the year and he just didn't want to say it. Maybe that was part of it. Maybe because it seemed like he was kicking it a lot better then. I know they got rid of the guy we had last year who actually did a decent job, but with punters, I guess you think you can interchange them pretty quick. Colquitt looked every bit as old as he is. I think Colquitt is, 38, 39, out there kicking ball. You can't average 30 yards on punts in the NFL, folks. And if you're going to average 30 yards, at least put the ball up in the air 3-4 seconds. But, yeah, that was some horrible – yeah, special teams, aside of Youngway, special teams, yeah, they need to be staying after school because that was just not good. Donald said the second punt was fair to me to the 10-yard line, but it was short. And again, that was a pooch situation. So that's a little bit different. But yeah, I also need that punter that if I'm on my side of the field that can flip the field. You can't have anybody that's giving you that little teeny weeny type. I need my I'm back in here. So again, I didn't hear a lot about except early about people's player of the game. Come back with me and tell me who your players of the game were. I'm going to tell you real quick where my play of the game was. My play of the game was when Matt threw that touchdown to Hayden Hurst. And it wasn't Matt. And it wasn't Hayden. Did you see that pickup, that blitz pickup that Mike Davis got on that particular play? And look, for the most part, the offensive line was, still played solid. But boy, Mike Davis picked that bad boy up so good and gave Matt that extra second, and also giving Hurst an extra second to get into his lane, where Matt was able to throw that bad boy right on the money. Did y'all see that play? That was actually, to me, that was the play of the game, because that gave you that extra cushion with the score. And we left some points out there, but man, that was a really good play as far as blitz pickup concerned. We haven't seen that. I know Gurley had one or two plays last year where he did a decent job of that, but that particular right there, that play right there where you knew the Falcons had to have that touchdown, my Davis blew old boy up. He blew him up. All right, we got a new guy here, Ty D. Jones. How are you, sir? Obviously, I'm playing with you. My player of the game is Kyle Pitts. Granted, Matt Ryan was the best player for us yesterday, but Pitts had his breakout game as a rookie, so you have to give him the game ball player of the game. As far as player of the game, I have no argument with that. Kyle Pitts showed the promise, showed the athleticism. Yes, we saw the one-handed catch. More importantly, we saw that red zone. Just Matt being able to get that, I'm throwing it up to you. As many times as we talked about Julio in those situations, Matt really didn't have a lot of that with anybody except aging Brian Finneran, that he had a couple of those plays early on. Roddy, you really couldn't do that a lot with Roddy. He did. But just to see the mismatch and how foolish of it is the Jets to sit there and put a defensive end against Kyle Pitts in the end zone. And I'm saying to myself, seriously, whoever's running the defense on that play needs to get slapped. I don't care if Kyle Pitts was the most inexperienced tight end ever. You gonna put a defensive lineman on him? Dude was running back trying to catch his breath and get the oxygen mask on the way to the ground. That was a horrible defense. But yes, Kyle Pitts definitely deserved a lot of love for yesterday's games. 10 targets, 9 catches, 119. Rusty says if Devonta Freeman could pick up a block like Matt Davis, we might have. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. You're absolutely right. I mean, that's what. Well, yeah. I'll leave that for y'all to fight about. But you're absolutely right. That was just awesome, and to be able to give him that little extra second was critical at that time. Kyle Pitts is hard not to give him the game ball, but I'm gonna tell you who I'm gonna give the game ball to, and I didn't think I'd be giving a lot of them to him this year. I give the game ball to Matt, man. I realized that fairly or unfairly, the spotlight is on you. It's been on you since Julio left. It's been on you since we put the restructure on. It's been on you since last year. And I don't care what players say about we don't read the news clippings, we don't read social media, we don't watch the news, we don't. Yes, they do. They probably just don't tell you about it. And they say they don't worry about it. Matt hears everything. I can't say everything. Matt hears the majority of the stuff that people says. And if Matt don't hear it, Sarah hears it, who had an awesome meme yesterday on her Twitter. But if Matt doesn't read it, Sarah reads it and probably tells Matt. But the last 2 weeks, I haven't seen Matt have consecutive weeks like that in a while. And we deserve to be more than we deserve to be 2-0 over the last 2 weeks. So I'm gonna give my game ball to the Iceman. Plus, being able to see his commercial again yesterday. I remember seeing the little commercial with Stone Cold and Ice-T, but them showing that he looked good in his little white uniform yesterday. But great showing from Matt again. 33 completions, 45 attempts, 340 yards, and 2 touchdowns. That's pretty awesome. So, efficient game with the balance that you got in the run game, 3.7 yards. Yeah, it's not groundbreaking, but it's enough to keep the sticks moving and keep the defense guessing. Give them a lot of credit. Good job by our brother Matthew. Toddy says, what's up, Steve? I know y'all were talking about rookie quarterbacks who started day one and had success. How could you forget about Sierra's husband, especially when he did his playoffs that year? Yes, I had an old man moment. I forgot that. And you know what's his situation was very similar to ours, with the difference being Chris Redmond was not highly sought after. But if you remember that preseason, Chris Redmond was brought in, and it was pretty much thought that Chris would probably start the season, and then Matt would eventually take over and do what he does. But yeah, Matt Flynn, and for those of you who don't know the story, Matt Flynn at that time, that was a relatively big contract for a quarterback. If I'm not mistaken, I think it was like 3 years, $12 million, which again, by 2012 terms, that wasn't considered little money. That was big money for him to come up to Seattle. But Russell ended up winning the game as a fourth round pick. Ended up winning the contest between him and Matt Flynn. Matt Flynn rode the pine and took his money, and Russell ended up losing to us in the last second, and probably one of the most dramatic games ever played in the Georgia Dome. That particular year, going down memory lane, I hated that because that was a year we had to make a decision. We had to make a decision whether to go to the Seattle game and not go to the NFC Championship. Because again, if they lose, then you won't go to the NFC Championship. But we took a leap of faith, our family, and we said, you know what? Falcons gonna win that game. So we had paid for we had secured our seats for the Frisco game instead of the Seattle game. And that turned out to be a good decision with the exception of the results of the NFC Championship, which we could have been better on that and everything. Toddy says, Sarah hears everything. Matt don't ever clap back because she claps back for him every time. Look, that's a good woman, man. That is a good woman. We all look, I got one too, and she definitely when I deserve it, not when I screw up, but when I deserve it, she'll go to my back for me. Lisa, hey, how you doing, Lisa? Good to see you out there. I hope you had a great time in the Chateau Elan. Looked like you were enjoying yourself out there yesterday. Scooter says 88 million, 4 years was Matt Flynn's contract. It was that much in 2012? Wow. Okay, maybe I missed that. My bad. 4 years, 88 million for Matt Flynn? Dang. Okay, a huge apology. I thought it was a little smaller than that. But maybe I'm thinking about somebody else. But yeah, great correction of Scooter. I appreciate the love, man. Yeah, look. Either way, it was a contract wasted. Because I don't even know if he ended up being there the next year or not. But thanks for the correction on that, Scooter. Yeah, I didn't realize they paid him that much. Man, that was a wasted contract. David says these drops, though, from our receivers. Yeah, I know they're late round selections, but they made the team. They have to hold on to the ball. But that's why they're on the bench. For the most part, with this, which is why it was so uncharacteristic to see Calvin have as many drops as he did last week. Your quarterback has to have faith in you. And at some point, I'm sure last week against Washington, Matt probably had to say, maybe I need to start throwing to these tight ends. Because if Calvin isn't confident, why am I going to keep throwing it out there if he's going to keep dropping it? Now, do I think that's a hiccup in the game? Probably. Calvin is not going to drop that many passes every game. They all have hiccups. Shoot, late in his career, Jerry Rice used to drop passes. So you go through it. You're going to be judged as your whole body of work, not by one game. But that one game, he did blow it for us in that. So, yeah, Calvin's got to – and again, I don't want to speculate on what's going on with Calvin as far as his personal business is concerned. I'm hoping whatever it is can be worked out and he comes back. Because bottom line, we can say what we want to say about how the tight end stepped up sans those fumbles from Hayden Hurst. But all three tight ends in the game, man, and doing things. I love it, getting the tight ends involved. Rusty says, Arthur Smith made sure to include Felipe Frank's name in a comment he made in the postgame presser yesterday. Undrafted free agents' names usually do not get mentioned on Sunday, especially if they're inactive. I'm telling y'all, he sees something in that kid. I don't doubt that Felipe is going to be part of the game plan every week. I think what you had this week was an uncanny situation where you had a lot of bodies missing. You had two receivers missing. You had your defensive end missing. You had the punters on IR. So you had a lot of folks missing this week. So they probably just needed that slot. Look, Felipe is going to be – Felipe's on the roster. He's not on the practice squad. He's on the roster. So the mere fact that an undrafted free agent is still on the roster, you got to be able to use him somehow. Now maybe later on he'll be able to make one of those plays work because right now neither one of us work. But We'll get it right. Hopefully we will. Lisa says, are we going to talk about special teams giving up big plays in the past 2 weeks? We did, Lisa. We talked about that earlier. Under the gun, I would say, on the special teams, the only play that gave them any love was actually recovering the onside kick at the end, which may seem routine to most, but obviously Atlanta Falcon fans are very spooked at seeing fumbles on onside kicks being kicked towards you and wondering and hoping and praying that our players fall on it. So I will definitely, we definitely hit on that a little bit earlier about special teams. Just to see Coleman coming down there, I said, oh, Lord, not the former player. But that concerns me that that's a part of the game that, we need to work on. Now, also keep in mind that maybe some of those guys who were on the special teams in the first couple of weeks may have been filling in positions for regulars this week, and therefore your special teams takes a hit. It shouldn't, but maybe that's what it is too. I don't want to. I don't know. I don't want to jump the gun too much on that. Toddy says Matt Flynn's deal with Seattle was 3 years, $26 million. I thought it was a little bit less. There was some. Now that was more than what I said, but that seems about right. 4 years, $88 million for Matt Flynn. Woo! And Scooter, again, when I'm not looking at it and I'm not typing it up, I'm gonna go by what most of y'all tell me in the moment. I'm not gonna try to act like I know it all because I don't. But I gotta our official Atlanta Bird Game statistician, not even statistician, unofficial capologist just came in with that. So I'm gonna tend to lean in that direction. Yeah, you got to show me that 4 years, $88 million, because when you said it, I just wanted to say okay, but whoo, and I'm trying to remember back in 2012 when that would have been 2012. I was trying to remember because when Matt signed his first contract, that contract was $100 million, but was it 5 years or 6 years? And I'm trying to say to myself, I didn't see Matt Flynn commanding that type of money. He was the backup in Green Bay, and now that Aaron was there. Aaron got hurt. Flynn got a couple of games to play. Flynn looked good, and they gave him the money to come over to Seattle until they saw what they had in Russell. I just didn't see that amounted in $88 million. Now, today, that wouldn't shock me. 2021, in a heartbeat. 22 million is probably cheap. But, that's probably right along the line right there. Thanks, Tiny. I appreciate that, brother. DeQual, I haven't seen you in a while, brother. How you doing? Say, how do our receivers seem to lose their minds for stretches of the game? Well, remember also those guys who were there, man. A lot of those guys, look, they're inexperienced, man. We got an inexperienced group, and you're gonna have to be patient. All folks who get drafted aren't gonna be superstars when they get to the NFL. I know on draft night they'll try to sell you that. I know when you go to your local radio stations, they'll try to sell you on how good they are. But the Russell Gages, the Frank Darbys, the Christian Blakes, the Alumni Zacchaeus, all of those guys, it's a reason that you're not picked in the first round. And when you're not picked in the first round, there's a thought process that maybe he might not translate. Maybe we can groom him into something. But, so that's that's what it is. When you start looking at Christian Blake, 2 catches, 12 yards. Alumni, 2 catches, 20 yards. I mean, as not a shot. Those guys weren't drafted to come in here and be starters. They were drafted to be fill-in players. And I know and again, I go back to, for those of you, for the sake of you who just coming in late, Matt completed 26 of his 33 completions to folks that weren't wide receivers. To be honest, the tight ends kind of really took up the bulk. So 19 out of not 19, I'm sorry. 9, 13, 16 of the catches, which is almost half the catches, were thrown to tight ends. Our tight end squad is shaping out to be nice. And now that people know that Lee Smith can catch the ball, that's another concern. Arthur Smith is giving people stuff to think about. So when the next team comes and you put Lee Smith and you put Hayden Hurst and you spread out Kyle Pitts on the outside, he's giving things for people to think about. Don't worry about Lee Smith. He catches the ball. So good for coach. Good for coach to do that. Lisa says, CP continues to be the man. What a great pickup for him. Lisa, I agree. Right before you guys came in, I was talking to somebody about that, and they were saying about the chances of us keeping Patterson. And I'm telling them, just keeping it real. Patterson was not brought in here to be what he has turned out to be. Patterson was brought in here to be a stopgap to the 2022 draft, where we try to get another running back. And the same thing for Mike Davis. Don't let that fool you. Unless Mike Davis ends up balling out at the end of this year, going into next year, 2 years, $5.5 million. That's not a contract that you're bringing in somebody to be a game changer. That's a contract that you're saying, get me to the next phase so I can, get my younger guys in here later. But that being said, Patterson continues to produce on a high level for this team. So I give him credit on that. Oh boy, Scooters. No, man. Look, again, we're not into mistakes, so we're not into calling fans out on too many mistakes, brother. I couldn't even. You heard what I said the first time. I was off too, because I said $11 million. So I was way off on that as well. No big deal. But I appreciate you even trying to correct that though, because I was wrong too. So that damn smart tighty got it right. So more power to him. I know he's always getting that kind of stuff good for us. As far as that's concerned. So again, I told people, I said at the beginning, and I know some of you have come in late, and I just want to bring this screen back in when I talk about it, and just keep it real. I'm not trying to start stuff, but show you the difference between a young team going 2-3 as opposed to an older team. Let me get Rusty's comment in here. I see you, Rusty. Rusty said, our only hope for re-signing CP is that he's 31 and wants to settle down somewhere and maybe take somewhat of a team-friendly contract because of his relationship with Arthur Smith and MR2. That's probably our only hope for CP coming back. And at 31, Rusty, you ain't trying to take no hometown discounts. Unless, to your point, unless you are calling this home and saying, I'm not leaving. I see Cordell as somebody who, listen, if his season stopped now, that's enough for, another team to pick him up. The Falcons don't have the cap even next year, and the Falcons probably can't afford to get where he's at. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I don't know if my brother Tidy is still on there. I see you right there, Tidy. Says CP is gone. See, is it $3 million he's getting this year, Tidy? I'm almost positive it's $3 million. And you see, I was sure about Matt Flynn's contract. And no matter what he's getting this year for a team that, and I'll preface this by saying, unless we make a playoff run, I'm not feeling that happening. I see him. Somebody says, "Oh, let me see that." Think about how Latavius Murray was with the Saints last year. That's a valuable asset. So if Kamara goes down, this will be the guy. I see him getting signed as that, going forward for another team. But if he does that for another team, if it's $3 million, it's gonna be with somebody who's doing that. Thank you, Todd. He said correct. Yeah, it makes $3 million. I thought that was so. If I'm an NFL team and I see Cordell, listen. If I'm an NFL team, see Baltimore maybe. See, I'm trying to think who else is in the chase right now that's struggling at running back. And I'm about to go to my playoff board in here right quick. Baltimore is the first team that comes to mind because they've had so many people hurt. Their running game is still solid. Look, Tampa Bay. Fournette is good, but Ronald Jones, is he really that guy? The Rams. Henderson actually showed up last week, so I might put a halt on that. Shoot, Panthers. You start thinking about those teams that are one running back away. Shoot, they might try to see the Falcons a game by trade deadline. That, of course, now we don't want that, but you got to ask. And if you're the Falcons, I mean, what do you have to lose? If they give you a nice, if they give you a draft pick or something like that, you got to listen. Somebody tells me they give me a third rounder right now for Cordell Patterson, I'm like this. Ooh. And I think third is rich for him. But if somebody came and asked and said third round pick, I'd say, brother, I appreciate every touchdown you had, but close the door on the way out. Because this team, as much as you see the positive stuff, you got to start thinking about next year. You got to. Toddy says, honestly, if somebody wanted to trade us the CP and give us a night package, I'd let them go. Yeah, and I'm trying not to look over there. You got to think about it. You got to think about it. It's something that's fair game. And he's been really good. And don't think the rest of the NFL isn't watching. So let me put this up here, man. As soon as I put it up here, y'all come in. So I'm gonna do the comments first because Dave said some of this fan base would lose their mind if they traded CP. And I think the trade deadline is it's week 8. So if you start thinking, Dave, again, don't just give them away. If somebody says 6th round, you tell them to kick rocks. Because right now, for your team, right now, it's almost similar to the Mohamed Sanu. When Mohamed Sanu, we kind of finessed the Patriots out of that. And I know we ended up trading that to get Hurst, but we finessed that second rounder. Because you argue Sanu is finally starting to get – this is the most significant time he's got with Kyle Shanahan out there. I saw him making a couple of big plays yesterday in the game, albeit in a losing effort. But we got the better end of that deal. So if you're going to give away Patterson, he's got to be worth something. Toddy says trade deadline is November 2nd. So that's 1, 2, 3. Say 3 more weeks. Look, you gotta assess your situation. Assess your situation and see what you got going on, and then you can't just automatically say, "Oh, Cardell's too good. I'm not going to, right. On a young team that you need some draft picks, you need some young players, you need some players that's not going to cost you money, i.e. rookies, without guaranteed money, i.e. rookies, draft picks. You're going to need that. So it's not far-fetched. So now let's take a look and let's play the hypothetical. And I know sometimes we get a little too serious, but let's go back, especially for those of you who didn't catch this earlier. So we're gonna go on here just to see where your mindset is, because I was talking to my son about this, and it's fair to say the Atlanta Falcons are one game out of the wild card position. I'm going to say that again, because we haven't been able to say that past September. And I know it's early. But play the game with me. Falcons are one game out of the wild card. And we're not talking tiebreakers, because I know Washington, Philadelphia, I get it. But still, with 12 games left, the Falcons are one game out of the wild card. Don't believe me? Check it out. Looking at the wild card positions right now. Let me zoom this in for some of you who are like me and are visually challenged. see if I can bring that in. Before I get into NFC, man, dude, the AFC, there was a thought process that this was just a matter of time where Kansas City was just going to blow everybody out and just have their fun. Boy, 5 games in. And again, lots of football left. I'm not jumping that far. But it's an interesting case. LA Chargers right now are the number 1 seed in the AFC as of this moment. Again, lots of time to play, but something to think about. Buffalo Bills, probably the team that I would be the most scared of, just the mere fact that they have a little bit more experience. But ahead in the AFC East, nobody's going to challenge them in the AFC East. They're going to run away with that again. So the Bills, what the Bills want to do is have that home game. That's what they need. They need that home game. Ravens, I just don't believe in the Ravens. Lamar Jackson is a talent. I'm just not. I don't know if I'm just a Lamar guy when it comes to the big time, the big moments. I thought about him, and I know people will say, it was exuberant. He was showing some attitude and personality. You go in there for that touchdown last week, bro. You don't do a flip as a quarterback. They need you. I'm talking about my hip hurts. You can't be doing flips into the end zone. They trying to invest money in you. And I know that sounds old school and ridiculous, but say, for instance, that hip really was hurting, and who says it's not? He probably said too much then. Oh, I'm sure Harbaugh probably told him, man, you are the future of this franchise. If you don't stop doing flips going into the end zone before we pay you this $40 million a year. So you got the Titans in 4th. We're going on the AFC side first. Titans in 4th place. That's a horrible AFC South. So I still don't think they're going to have any fight for that. So then in the AFC, you got the Bengals, and the Bengals, man, that Bengals Ravens, don't be shocked if the Bengals have something to say about that. That was a nice game going back and forth, but at the end of the day, I think it's going to be those two. I think the Pittsburgh era is about to unceremoniously end in the next year or two. Raiders are 6. Raiders kind of making their swan dive a little early this year. But and then the Broncos, who I'm not sure in that division is going to be able to hold up. Listen, Kansas City, don't let them fool you. I think Kansas City is a good team, and I think they'll be back. Let me get a couple of these comments back here before I go to my let me take my sharing thing off right quick. Lisa says, I'm still baffled why we didn't pick up a running back in the draft. That was crazy to me. I guess they thought whatever their plan was going to be, they'd be able to pick that, do something with that, the undrafted free agents. Rusty said, Herbert is the truth. He is. Absolutely. Robert, how you doing? Robert said, all options need to be available, especially Ridley, not because he missed at all, but because he could be one of the best chips to bargain with. Robert, I didn't even bring that up, and that's a very good point. And if you're going, and again, I don't know. And I see that's the next question coming up, Corey. I see you. How you doing, Corey? Say, hi, Steve. What are the rumors of Ridley? I'm going to tie these two together. Because, Robert, to your point, if there's trouble in paradise, as is rumor, because I don't know. But if there's trouble in paradise, Calvin Ridley should be able to fetch you first. I'm looking, going back again to the playoff thing, and I'll get back to the full screen in a second. You don't think the Ravens could still use a wide receiver? Bears been trying to get a wide receiver. They just picked up somebody the other day. You don't think the Bears could use one? Man, I don't know what the Browns situation is. I know the Saints, Michael Thomas, I don't know what the situation with him is. You don't give him to the Saints, so you got to think about that. That's legit. So legit thought, Robert, that is not blasphemous to think about trading him if things are not great. If that's just a rumor, then whatever. But if things aren't great, you got to think about it. Amanda says Lamar Jackson is to Baltimore what Vic was to us, a ticket seller. He must see TV. He's must see TV, but I don't think he's the guy to get you over the top. Probably true. No doubt. I don't think he is either. Say Tidy says, I think Ridley can certainly get us a first-round draft pick. Sanu got a second-round pick, making over $7 million per year at 30. Ridley is 26 and has a fifth-year option available next year. And again, whoever would probably sign him would probably, I would imagine, whoever would trade for him, that would be the perfect situation. Because it would be kind of what we did with Hayden Hurst. It's not like you got to pay him this year. The thought process with a team is if you're that good, you don't want to go into your option year still playing on that contract. See Hayden Hurst. The Atlanta had an opportunity to sign him to a fifth year, and they didn't. So that's still hanging out there. I would think about it. You got to think about it. These are real life moves, y'all. Jaqual says, "Let's watch me let him walk next season. Wonder what tender he would get paid under." Now the tender would only be for free agency, Jaqual. That you get the well, I scratched that. I was talking about supplemental draft. That's what I was thinking about. But if you try to get rid of Calvin right now, it's no less than second round. And I still honestly think it's a first round pick. I think it's a first round pick. Rusty says Lamar, unfortunately, is going to have a shortened career just because of his style. You ever see Russell Wilson get hit? That dude slides like a base runner. Lamar doing flips into the end zone. Again, I don't know who's been talking to him, but you can't be reckless like that, man. You can't. You're going to hurt yourself. You're going to hurt yourself going into the end zone like that. And when he came out of that presser talking about his hip and talking about coaching, I know Coach Harbaugh was probably ticked off about that. You don't do that, not as a franchise quarterback. I don't care how great of an athlete you are. Come down on that hip and it's all over with. So I don't believe in that either. I don't. So let's go back. Let's go back to that original point I was talking about. Again, I wanted to just again not try to get y'all too hyped up, but just trying to show you what I was talking about. So in the NFC right now, Arizona's still undefeated. I don't think they're going to go undefeated the whole time. I think they're definitely that division. I think they're gonna beat each other up in the NFC West. I still think you could possibly have 3 teams coming out of the West, but Arizona so far has taken advantage of it early on. Cowboys, much as I hate to say it, y'all, Cowboys are the best looking team right now in the NFC. Said it earlier in the Rocket. I think Cowboys, sans injury, man, they could be doing something special come January if they stick to this script. DQ, give the devil his due. He's doing this thing. And I don't mean devil in the wrong way because he's a good dude. Good dude when he was here, just made some bad decisions. Tampa Bay still there, 4-1 NFC South. I don't think anyone is going to really challenge them. I think Tampa Bay is going to be one of those teams that looks to end. I did see where Tom Brady hurt his finger or his thumb or something like that, and they're going to try to see what's going on with that. They don't need Tom Brady to miss time because I don't think they will go far without Captain America on the team. Packers tops in the NFC South. Look at that. Look at that NFC. All 4 division leaders right now with 4-1, 5-0 records. So not bad at all. Rams, first wild card at 4-1. Rams, I think the Rams Cardinals thing is going to go on to the end of the year. If Stafford is healthy, I think the sky's the limit for the Rams. Don't get fooled by one game. I still think they are still going to be a tough team to beat come January with them. Chicago Bears, a little bit of a surprise that they're second in the North. I kind of thought the Vikings would be giving them a little bit more fight, but Bears 3-2 with a young quarterback. Justin Fields going to take some hits, going to take some lumps, but right now he's starting for the second wild card team as of October 11th. He's starting for the number 2 wild card team in the NFC. And the third wild card team at this time is the Carolina Panthers, who a couple of weeks ago everybody had as, oh my God, what a surprise team. And they've come back down to earth a little bit. Of course, not having McCaffrey probably hurts to that sense, but probably coming back down to what we thought they would be, that type of team. So if we look at Carolina with the 3-2 team, and notice we haven't played Carolina, so we haven't gone to the division play yet. On the bubble, the teams are right behind them. There's only one other 3-2 team in the NFC, and that's the New Orleans Saints, who, guess what? They're in our division. So again, everything's in front of you. Everything's in front. It's not like you have to look far. Washington football team. Now, unfortunately, that's one of those that you'll have to be better than them because head-to-head, they beat you, but they are 2-3. The Minnesota Vikings, another team that is 2-3. So, you're saying 5 games in. All right, that's okay. Eagles, same situation with Washington. They beat you earlier, so you'll have to beat them or straight up not beat them. You'll have to have a better record than the Eagles to slip in. Seattle Seahawks, and now with Russell being out for 4 to 6 weeks, I'm sorry, I don't believe in 6 minutes of fame that Geno Smith had. I think he might be okay to get them a win or two, but in that NFC West, he's not going to be able to keep them up. I think Seattle may, depending on how long Russell, and I know Russell's going to do everything he can to try to get out of to get out of that cast early, but I think Seattle might be missing the playoffs for the first time. Okay, and then we got the 49ers, who are also 2-3. And then there are the Atlanta Falcons sitting right there. Wow. 2-3, 2-3, 2-3. We are one game out of the wild card. When is the last time we've been able to talk about that seriously? And this is serious. We have a bye week this week, but coming up on our schedule, and again, we're a week-to-week team, so let's not jump too far. You got the Dolphins. You're playing the Panthers. You're playing the Saints. You got the Cowboys. And then you have the Patriots coming in on Thursday night. And aside of the Cowboys, who, again, I must admit, the Cowboys are looking good. We go through the same thing we said earlier in the year. It's not like you can't compete with these teams that you have coming up. And then after the Patriots, I'll throw the Jaguars in there because Jaguars are not doing well either. Folks, this schedule is not as daunting. And now you start looking at, oh my God, if we would have just done a couple of things, I think we would have been fine. So, just something to think about. Something to think about as far as that's concerned. Who do we have right here? I'm sorry, I kind of jumped the gun. I cannot see who this is saying about the Cowboys, but I see it right here. It says Cowboys do look good. Dak has emerged to be a beast. Well, he needed to. It's about time. About time he did. What's going on, man? How you doing, man? I'm glad. I am glad we won too, my brother. Good that we finally got one under the belt in a convincing game too. I like that. Jaqual says, oh, that was you, Tidy. For some reason, I don't know why it's not coming up on here. Why it didn't come up the second time. My bad. Jaqual says Dak hasn't played a bad game since they played us last go figure. True. Mustard says O-line looking better and better each week. It is. And that's what you start talking about, gradual progress. David says stack some wins before Dallas and we may have a shot. And that's what I'm saying. This team here, man, look, there's opportunity. There's opportunity. You got to go take it, though. You can't lose to a Jacoby Brissett team like we lost to a Jacoby Brissett team with the Colts. You can't do that. You can't. Miami is struggling. You need to take advantage of that game. I know we got some people hurt, but by that game, let's get some folks healthy and see what we can do. Gotta do some things there. Corey said the Arizona Cardinals too. Don't forget them. And as far as as far as contenders, probably you didn't see me earlier when I said that, Corey. I think the Cardinals off to a great start. Do I think they could sustain it in an NFC West? I don't think they can run off 15-16, but the NFC West, they're going to beat each other up. I don't know if you saw me talk about that earlier, but Arizona's going to be in the mix until the end. Like I said, sans injury, they are just playing probably the best, obviously the best ball now at 5-0. But I just think when you start getting into those grind months, which is now when I start talking about the Falcons, when you start getting into these grind months of the year, that's when you start worrying about some of these inflated starts, I should say. You start talking about the Carolinas with the 3-0 start. Do they come back down to earth? The Raiders with the 3-0 start. Are they really that good of a team or not? So I don't know. But, Brother Darius, how you doing, sir? Say you think we'll go on a run, OG? Listen, Darius, there's always hope. There's always hope. I'll say this, and I'll go back to David's comment. Talk to me by Dallas. I think this is a team that's going to go week to week. I think coming off the bye, you have a good team to go against in Miami, a team that, again, is not going to scare you. So you try to play the one game at a time thing. But if you put me on the spot, Darius, talk to me about a Dallas game. And on the other bookend of the Dallas game is the Patriots and Jacksonville. So again, a 6-game stretch where you're not going to be, you might be favored in 3 of those games. You take care of business. You could find yourself, we could find ourselves as a fan base talking about serious games in December. When's the last time we had that? So, okay. Well, we're going to call it a night, folks. And I will see you all later on during the week. Appreciate y'all coming in and talking to me. And we'll catch up later on when we'll do something for the bye. I don't know what it is, but I don't have a helmet to put over here for the bye, but we'll figure it out. All right. Until then, y'all take care, and we'll see y'all later. Peace.